If you are about to be an exchange student in Granada soon, then you have come to the right video, because today I'm going to be sharing with you all my top 12 recommendations for exchange students in Granada. These are typically things that I feel like most tourists would normally glaze over if you're only in Granada for a few days, but as exchange students, we have the amazing opportunity to really get to know a city and spend a long period of time there. So if this all sounds interesting to you, then keep on watching, because here are my favorite spots in Granada. First place that you need to go to in Granada is this beautiful park called Carmen de los Martires. There are 2 peacocks there, which is so cool, but more than that, there are just amazing views of the city, and just everywhere you go in the park, there's like flowers and there's a little pond, and it's just such a beautiful spot. I'm really sad because I only found out about this place with like a month left in my time there in Granada. So I've only been a couple times, but it is so pretty. This is honestly probably my favorite spot on this list. And it is just amazing. It's a little bit of a hike to get there. Not necessarily a hike, it's just a little bit of uphill to get there. So be warned if you don't like walking uphill like me, but it is so worth it and easily probably the most beautiful spot in Granada. If you're looking for another spot in Granada to get a great view of the city, then look no further than the Mirador de San Miguel Alto. This place is definitely a hike to get to. This is kind of hard to explain, but if you go like behind the church that's up there and then kind of like turn to your right once you reach the parking lot, there's this like very empty space and there's this like big hill. And I very distinctly remember one time, like all the kids in my program, we met up there and had like a little picnic, and it was so cool because if you go to that other part, which is just a few minutes behind the actual viewpoint itself, there's not a lot of people there. It's got great views. Go up there for sunset. It's beautiful. You can see the Alhambra. It's a great spot. Again, a hike to get to, but you gotta go at least once. After you've watched the sunset from one of the many miradors, like the one I just mentioned, there's no better way to spend your night in the Albaicin than by going to a flamenco show. These are so cool in the Albaicin of Granada specifically, and different than the other flamenco shows I've seen in other cities around Spain and Andalusia, because they're in these like tiny caves and they're just like lined with seats, and the dancers are like literally a foot away from you. It is so cool, and literally everyone gets a front row seat. A lot of times you'll have a drink or a tapa included with your ticket, and it is just so authentic, and the music is amazing, the energy is amazing, the environment is so cool. It's like these caves are like the most picturesque little rooms, and it is just the perfect way to spend a Spanish evening. All right, this one's the last thing that I'm gonna mention on here in the Albaicin, I think, and it is Carmen de los Geranios, the Casa Museo de Max Murillo? I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but this is a really cool museum type of thing in the Albaicin. It's just like this old house of this guy, Max, whose last name I don't know how to pronounce. He was like a composer and I want to say a writer. There were like a couple things. Oh, and an artist. It was so cool, and it was in the prettiest spot. Had the best views of the Alhambra. If you want to get some great pictures of the Alhambra, go there. It was so pretty and just really interesting random piece of history that I had no idea existed in Granada until quite literally the last week of my semester there, when my friend and I just randomly stumbled upon it and went inside. Another cool area to walk through is Paseo de los Tristes. It has amazing views of the Alhambra, and it's this really cool fusion between like the lower area of the Albaicin and the center city of Granada. It's right near Plaza Nueva, if you know where that is, and it's just super pretty. It's got some bridges, and the river that's barely a river is right there. It's also a great spot if you want to get some souvenir shopping done, because there's a ton of souvenir shops along there. And overall, it's just a really pretty walk. So highly recommend Paseo de los Tristes. Now this next thing is not a spot to go to, but more of an activity you need to do if you are an exchange student, and that is to go to an intercambio. This is basically a language exchange between locals who are learning English and foreigners who are learning Spanish, primarily exchange students. It is so cool because you meet the most amazing people from all around the world, not just from Spain and the US, even though most of the exchange students there are from the US. but it is just an amazing opportunity to work on your language skills, to talk with locals. I especially recommend this if you're not in a homestay and not taking classes with local students, and like my program in Granada are only with exchange students, because this gives you the opportunity to one-on-one have a conversation with a local, which will really help you improve your Spanish. And it's just an amazing way to do something in the community and meet people, and it is amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. My favorite one, at least for spring of 2025, was at a place called Sala Premier at 8:30 every Tuesday night. So if you're interested, I don't know if that's still gonna be a thing in the future, but that one was personally my favorite. And I think it's like €3.80 to get in, but you also get a free drink with your ticket, which is nice. There are two really cool jazz cafe / bar type things in Granada, and I am not a fan of jazz whatsoever, but when I tell you I love both of these places for the vibes, that could not be more than true. The first place is called Bohemia Jazz Cafe. This was actually really close to where I lived. I walked by it every day, but the decorations in that place specifically are so cool. There are all these like posters and like just random like music trinkets all over the walls and the ceiling and everything. And there's like all these cool instruments too. And there's like 4 pianos in there. It is seriously one of the coolest places you can go. Even their menus are like newspapers, and it is just amazing. Easily one of the coolest cafes if you need to get a midday coffee or soda or whatever. I really love that place. Even if you don't like jazz, you have to go. The second jazz place is called Uyaku. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I'll put the name on the screen. This place is more about the live jazz music. So I will say the times and like the schedules and the cost are a little bit tricky. So make sure you look at all that stuff on their website before you go. But the one that I went to a few times was €5 every Thursday night, I think at like 10 p.m. And so you pay €5 to get in, and then the place is always packed. Sometimes you'll have like people dancing, sometimes there's people watching. They always have a really cool array of like instruments, whether it's like saxophone and double bass, like the more traditional jazz instruments, or I forget what the other instrument was the last time I went, but I was like, wait, that's like not something I would typically think of as like a jazz instrument, but it was super cool, and yeah, really recommend it. Now, as some of you may know, I am not a big going out person. I'm not a big bar, party, discoteca person. That's really not my thing. However, there is one bar that I went to a couple times with people from my program that I will mention in this video, and it is called Hannigan's. It is an Irish pub, and I'm mentioning this because they have a lot of different activities. They have trivia nights on Monday, which my friends and I did a couple times. I was just kind of like there, they did it. But if you're into like fun little activities like that, I definitely recommend that. And then I know Thursdays are karaoke night, and yeah, I don't know much else about it, but that is like the one bar I went to a few times. So if you're interested in that, then definitely look into all the activities they have going on there, because I will say it is really cool. If you're going to Spain as an exchange student from the US, then you will definitely notice that there's not a big working at a coffee shop culture there, which I feel like is such a staple here in the US, especially for college kids. So if you're looking for somewhere to get some work done, then look no further than Bon Bon Boss Cafe. This is definitely the best Wi-Fi cafe that I found, because there are not too many, and all you have to do is just buy something, and the receipt comes with the Wi-Fi password on the bottom. There's plenty of space so you can spread out. I've also done some like group study sessions there before exams, and that was great. I believe there's also like plenty of tables with outlets so you can charge your laptop while you're working, and yeah, overall a great spot, and it's in a great location right next to Gran Via, right next to the cathedral. It's super, super practical, and I've been there quite a few times. You cannot go to Spain without trying the infamous chocolate and churros, and the best place to do that in Granada is at Cafe Football. Not only do they have a ton of types of chocolate and churros, but they've also got like a proper restaurant with like drinks, food, a ton of options for breakfast if you're looking for that type of a thing, and they also have an ice cream. So it's a win-win. That place is amazing and definitely a really popular spot, but if you're in Granada, you have to go get the chocolate and churros, and you'll thank me later. Andalusia and Spain in general has some of the most beautiful beaches the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen. So look no further than a beach day trip from Granada if that is something that you are interested in. There's a ton of cute little towns. I went to Nerja when I went to the beach from Granada, but I've also heard Motril, Salobreña, Almuñécar. Those are also all great. I probably pronounced some of those wrong, I'm so sorry. Those are all in like Malaga and Granada, those provinces. But then if you also want to head over to Almeria, I totally forgot I went there. The beaches there were super cool, although I went when it was still really cold. But whatever you want to do, they're all so pretty. The also bus tickets are pretty cheap and you can buy them pretty last minute, like a day or two ahead of time. And yeah, if you're a beach person, it does not get better than the beaches in Andalusia. And there you have my complete list of the best recommendations of things to do in Granada for exchange students. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I've been uploading new videos every week. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Monday from somewhere a little bit cooler than my dorm room. Bye!